Hello everyone, welcome to Nerds in a Box episode 9.
Woo!
We're very happy to be here again for the 9th episode.
Yes.
We're working on that 3 months.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Wow.
We're still in that honeymoon phase.
We are.
So it's okay.
Is that what the honeymoon phase is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
3
typically the
months.
first 3 months.
Oh.
Come on,
After that
Dan.
is when it all, crashes and burns.
Yeah.
My wife and I have passed 3 months.
Woo!
Way to go.
That's awesome.
Way to go. Alright.
Woo!
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, welcome to episode 9 of Nerds in the Box. If you're joining us for the first time, hello, welcome. I am John Dwyer.
Dan Kiefer.
Tessa Barlotta.
We're Nerds in a Box. We're a weekly podcast where we talk about all things nerdy. Now, in the past weeks, we've talked about Super Smash Brothers. We've talked about comic book events. And this week, we're going to be talking about Marvel and DC Cinematic Universe events.
Exploding.
Exploding in a huge way. Big news from both sides of the comic
This
giants.
past week has been ridiculous.
Oh god.
Yes, so we're going to be covering that. We're going to be talking about the developments there, primarily focusing on them, what it could be like. We're going to talk about Superhero Smackdown, our new, event that we're doing every Saturday.
Yep.
This week we pitted Red Hood and Winter Soldier against each other, and we had you guys comment on it. We're going to talk about it a little bit, and talk about what you guys said, and then we're going to recap and see basically who wins. I think we already know who wins, but that being said, we'll tell you who we think. And then we got the Awesome Box. And Tessa's got stuff for the Awesome Box. That's going to be really good. She's going to be focusing on basically more...
Local artists.
Yeah, exactly. So, without further ado, we're going to start with... should we start Marvel or DC?
Let's go DC, yeah.
Okay, cool.
DC's got a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Oh gosh.
Cool. So, we earlier this week, Marvel made their announcement about Robert Downey Jr. being in Cap 3. And without any hesitation, the very next day, DC released their entire lineup up to 2020 of their films. So, let me see here. Hang on.
I'm still in speculation on whether or not it's going to happen.
Let me
Yeah,
see.
I think a lot of people are. They're like, yeah, just because you say this is going to happen doesn't mean we're not going to have another Green Lantern and everything's just...
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Mhm.
So, on this list, we have, in 2016, we've got Suicide Squad on August 5th. In 2017, we have, on June 23rd, Wonder Woman. November 17th, Justice League Part 1. That's Justice League Part 1. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit. 2018, we've got The Flash, and they announced that is Ezra Miller from Perks of Being a Wallflower. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And then we've got Aquaman in July, so that's going to be their big summer movie, is Aquaman. And then 2019, we've got Shazam, who has The Rock as the Black Adam.
Yeah,
We don't know who Shazam is yet, but we know who Black Adam is, and that's going to be good. And then later that year, we have Justice League Part 2. So, picking up where Justice League Part 1 picks off. And then in 2020, we've got Cyborg with the recently announced Ray Fisher. They officially confirmed that it's Ray Fisher. He's relatively unknown. And then later that year, Green Lantern. We don't know which Green Lantern. We don't know who. The speculation is that it is going to be Jon Stewart instead of Hal Jordan with the bad taste from the Ryan Reynolds movie.
Poor Ryan Reynolds.
Poor Ryan.
So, let's get started with not even talking about that first. The big news in Batman vs. Superman, the rumor that Jenna Malone from Hunger Games, Catching Fire, that she is going to play she's going to play Robin. We're going to have a female Robin. The rumor is that it is going to be Katie Kelly.
Yeah, from Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, Frank Miller's 1986 comic, Dark Knight Returns. And that's huge. That's a big piece of news.
Big thing. Like, I feel like it's... DC, since they're coming in so late to the game, I think they're trying to fill all the quotas that Marvel hasn't yet, as far as, like, women having bigger roles and like, just people of color in general. Because, like, the female Robin... at least Katie Kelly is very little known. Like, people know she exists, but unless you've read that book, like, she's really not anything else.
She has the least amount of time in any of Batman or, like, Batman or Robin in any of their comics.
Oh, yeah.
She's in it the least.
And like, thinking more about that, like, I feel like that's probably one of the best decisions that they've made in a long time. Like we talked about on earlier podcasts, like, their biggest issue is the fact that their characters are so well known, so consumer sculpted, that we all know exactly what we want to see from these characters. This is their first chance to really build a character from the ground up, make them a unique character that we can connect to and enjoy without having it being one of like the primaries.
Yeah,
like
without
one of the
like
big...
a truckload of expectations coming up behind.
Exactly.
And that's great. That's what's brilliant about it being Jenna Malone, is because it's Jenna Malone. She's brilliant and she's wonderful in everything. So I feel like even if they're not quite sure of how to write her, I feel like she could take it the next step. So even if Ben Affleck can't pull it off as Batman, we'll be able to wait for Robin to run in and save him.
I have the utmost faith in Ben Affleck.
I hope so.
He does really well. I guess maybe he really only does really well when he directs and acts. But
exactly.
But no, like especially with the most recent movies
Gone
that
Girl.
they've been
He's
doing
great
really
Gone
well.
Girl, Argo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, Argo is great.
Like, yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But, you know, the whole female Robin thing is going to be interesting because she's the least well-known one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the general reaction from fans has basically been like, not, oh, we don't want a female Batman. It's like, that Robin? It's like, why that one? Like, why not Damian Wayne or Jason Todd? Dick Grayson, like, why not those Robins instead? Like, you've got that established. You know, if you're going to do a Justice League movie, wouldn't you want to have one of the most popular Robins be in the Justice League?
And I feel like that's because
for that.
They don't have any more Batman movies to develop the Robins with, is the problem. Because you don't, with this character, with Katie Kelly, there's no arc for her. Like, Nightwing has his arc, and Red Hood has his arc, and Red Robin has his arc from start to finish is who they were as the Robins. But Katie Kelly doesn't. So it's much easier to just be like, we have this great character who we can throw in here, will, you know, satisfy a lot of our viewers who are wanting more female presence. And at the same time, we don't have to worry about these big, messy arcs later down the road because the Dark Knight series has been done. And we don't really want to mess with that anymore or go near that, especially not till we know how Ben Affleck does. So we'd rather just... I think they're playing it safe and smart.
Okay.
So that's what I feel like that's what they're trying to do. And I hope they pull it off. I really do.
I really hope they do. I mean, Jenna Malone's already got the built-in fan base. Everyone loved her. She stole the show in Catching Fire.
Oh, yeah.
So no one's really doubting her or her acting abilities at all. It's literally, where are we going to go with this? And a lot of people are really hoping that the script is good, that they do a good job, and that, you know, I mean, especially with Batman being older, that you don't really have to establish it. And, you know, you just give some backstory a little bit, but, like, it's just kind of accepted that this is who it is, and you don't have, you're right, you don't have to develop a Robin, like, a young Robin. So it may be good that they're doing that. I'm more interested to see how it'll actually play out, because I don't know if it'll, I mean, it's Batman vs. Superman, it's obviously going to make a lot of money. I don't know if, like, having, like, a female Robin could actually affect, like, impact people's decision to see it.
I think so.
I think it could.
Well, like, you're talking about her fan base. That, like, not only was an idea of casting a female Robin a good idea, casting an unknown Robin, moderately unknown Robin, as a good idea, because then they don't have to worry about the creation aspect. But they're also picking somebody that has a pre-built fan base, that even if, like, it's gonna get more females to see it. A lot of girls that loved Catching Fire, that loved her in it, they're gonna go see it.
Which
because
is awesome.
Exactly, and that expands their horizons. Their casting calls right now are a good call. I'm still very skeptical about how everything's going to play out, just because of their past endeavors, their past trials. This isn't the first time they've tried to do a Justice League setup. I think that they're backed so much into the corner because of how Marvel's doing, that they're like, alright, this is our plan. Get a big bunch of hype about it. But if one of these falls flat, are they going to keep pushing through? Do they have the financials to trudge through it? Are they going to, like, have to take back movies? What if one of these gets canceled? Are they going to start more speculation on other movies? Like, there's a whole lot of things that still need to happen for me to put my faith back in the DC movies.
I'm hoping, like, this lineup, because, I mean, it spaces them out to 2020. I'm hoping it's showing them sort of slowing down a little bit. Like, as much as Justice League Part 1 and Part 2 alarmed me a little bit, like, that's all I've ever wanted from them, is to just be like, slow down. It's okay. we are patient. We're willing to wait forever for you to build up the story that you feel will be good enough to carry over and on the silver screen. Like, we're more than willing, for goodness sake, we're waiting forever for Carol Danvers and Black Panther. We'll wait forever for a Justice League movie.
Yeah.
Like, just make it good is kind of all we ask. And if that means you have to slow it down, fine. So that's kind of what I'm hoping they're doing with this. But I suppose we shall see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, right now they're kind of doing what Marvel does. They're kind of taking from Marvel's playbook with doing 2 movies a year. They've got Batman vs Superman in 2016, and they've got Suicide Squad, and then they got Wonder Woman and Justice League Part 1 in 2017, and that keeps going until 2020. So maybe they're spacing it out like that they think that they can do it, and they're not overloading it.
All just
Exactly.
dumping it all in one big Justice League movie.
Exactly. So, I mean, that could be really good. Justice League Part 1. Justice League Part 1 is really interesting because no one's really expecting that to be broken up into Part 1, and the rumor right now is that Avengers 3 could be broken up into 2 parts.
Oh, no.
I hear that rumor.
Yeah. You know...
If you have an existing source of material that is so big that it has to be broken up, then fine. Like, I had my problems with this with Harry Potter, who's the one who started all this mess, when they broke up the 7th movie. But it made sense when they did it, because that's how the book kind of is. Like, it's them traveling and then it's the war. Like, it makes sense. But now they're just doing it to make more money instead of doing it because the story calls for it.
Yeah. My issue is, like, I'm actually very proud of The Hobbit for doing this.
Yeah.
Don't call it Part 1 and Part 2. For the love of God, make it a separate movie. Do not be like, well, this is half of the movie, you have to wait for the other half then. Just put half of the movie in one, call it one, put the other half in another one, call it something completely different.
That's the thing, like, it's not... I don't want it to be a to be continued. That's what's killing me. Especially if they're 2 years apart, you're going to make us wait 2 years to find out what the rest of it is. If it's like... Justice League one story arc, but it's still connected to the rest of the story arc, kind of like how Avengers is still connected to Thanos. Fine, cool. Just don't put the part 1 thing, those words are what's scaring me more than anything else. Because we know it's all going to be connected.
Right.
We know it's all going to be serialized. It's based on comics. It's just those words. They scare me so much.
I mean, and this may not even be, what they're called.
We might be reading into it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. It could literally just be 2 different ones, and they just put part 1 and part 2.
Just to scare us and get us all
exactly,
talking about it.
But the 2 years is kind of weird. I don't really know how I feel about having that huge fan, because even with Lord of the Rings, it was every year.
Avengers too is like, what, next year? That's 3 years since the last one?
Yeah, but even when Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, who started it, they were Deathly Hallows Part 1, Deathly Hallows Part 2, it was still just 1 year between it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I don't know if that could be bad for them. It'll be interesting to see how that works. I also don't want Avengers 3 to be 2 parts, unless literally one part of it is like Thanos, and then part 2 is maybe Civil War.
Okay, I can see that.
Maybe. I can see it.
The thing is, then why isn't it a separate movie?
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. But if they do that, that could be one explanation for why they do that. So.
And I mean, honestly, somebody may call it Part 1 and Part 2 when it really is just Avengers Infinity Gauntlet and then Avengers Civil War.
Yeah.
Like, somebody will be like, oh, it's being split into 2 parts. I'm like, no! And then when it comes out, it's like, no, that's a separate movie. But those words, like you said, Tessa, those words
they scare us.
are evil words.
Hey, say what you will, those words make money.
Yeah.
Part 1 and Part 2 make money. That's why people call them that.
I hate it, though.
So, well, I'm sorry, Dan.
There's so much hate.
I'm sorry, Dan. That's just what's popular. Well, going away from that, Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Suicide Squad's interesting because we already have potential casting news for it. Ryan Gosling, Tom Hardy, Will Smith, Margot Robbie. These are all the big names that have been rumored to be attached to this film. And this could be huge. Apparently, I was reading an article by Matt Goldberg. I believe it's The Collider, his website. Apparently, who is it? Tom Hardy and Will Smith are close to signing, and Margot Robbie is looking likely. Ryan Gosling is still rumored, but even having one of those 4 is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you have Tom Hardy and Will Smith.
That's ridiculous.
I feel like Will Smith would just do this anyway.
Oh yeah,
Because
just for fun.
Yeah, he would do this for fun. Yeah.
Especially after Hancock backfired so bad.
Yeah, exactly. But he would love that because right now the rumored cast is Deadshot, Harkness, Vixen, Blockbuster, Multiplex, Jaculi, and Mindblogger. So, you know, the most popular iterations of Suicide Squad have had Harley Quinn in it, but it looks like she may not be the case here. So Margot Robbie would be a completely different character and not Harley Quinn. So...
Which I feel like makes sense if you don't have a Batman movie to introduce her. Like, it would just kind of feel wrong if she was just thrown
exactly.
in there.
Unless it was like a Harley Quinn origin story kind of thing.
Which they also could do later. If Suicide Squad knocks it out of the park,
They could totally do...
They could totally have like her origin as part of like a Suicide Squad thing.
Absolutely.
Where they have to maybe break into Arkham to get her out to do whatever.
Exactly. I mean, it's worth noting that for Deadshot, Harkness, and Vixen are looking to be the leaders of the group.
That's really
so
cool.
it's looking like Tom Hardy, Will Smith, and Margot Robbie will be Deadshot, Harkness, and Vixen. And then Ryan Gosling maybe Blockbuster or something like that. So we don't know anything about this
I feel like Tom Hardy would be Blockbuster.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I probably just since Bane, he'll probably just get all the big...
Yeah, right?
muscles.
But let's be real. Tom Hardy, he's a big, muscular guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that he doesn't fit. I don't know. I almost want him to be Deadshot, though, just because he can carry that gravitas, too, while still being a jerk.
Exactly.
Like from Inception, like
But
this
see,
whole coy thing.
That's what I would put Will Smith as, because he can be snarky. And he can hold, like, he has all of that, like, energy and, like, that seriousness. But when it comes down to it, you see Will Smith smile and you're like, good.
Yeah. I think that'd be really cool. I'd be okay with any of them in this, actually. Ryan Gosling, I don't know exactly how he would... I don't know how he translates to a comic book movie, but he's done really well with his serious roles. He's done really well in Drive. If you haven't seen that, he's done really well in Lars and the Real Girl. He's really good. He's a great actor. He's an incredible actor. So you could definitely do it. I just don't... When I think of comic book movies, I don't think of Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
The two I do not put together
But
for some
then
reason.
maybe he'll prove us wrong.
I would love that. I'd love that. I'm all up for seeing good movies.
Right.
So we don't know a whole lot about that. We'll let you guys know when we hear more. But that's the Suicide Squad rumor. Let us know what you think, because I hope that's good.
Yeah.
It's worth noting. A few weeks ago we talked about Sandman as one of their movies, and that's not mentioned in their announcement. And we were concerned that wasn't actually going to happen, especially since Joseph Gordon-Levitt is already attached to the title role.
And Neil Gaiman's writing.
Yes.
However,
Neil Gaiman has said that Sandman is not a DC movie. It is a Vertigo movie.
So it's a different thing.
So it's a different thing. It's got its own set of movies, got its own set of announcements. So that being said, Sandman fans, don't fret. Your movie is apparently still on the way, according to the writer himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So moving on, Ezra Miller as the Flash was probably bigger than Ray Fisher as Cyborg, but Ezra Miller we'll talk about first. We didn't know who was going to be the Flash. We still didn't know 100%.
Although they did say that it wasn't going to be their TV people. Like,
yeah.
Worst decision ever.
I know.
Flash TV and Green Arrow, or not Green Arrow, but Arrow, their fan base is so strong. The Flash TV show doing incredibly well. And they're like, no.
I'll play devil's advocate here. I think the reason why they don't want to do it is partially because those shows are on the CW, and right now, I'm sorry to make anyone upset, especially Arrow fans. If you look at Arrow, the acting on that is not great. Love Stephen Amell. His acting is not as good compared to the other people.
They're too busy. They're all
in Justice
doing the
League.
Batman voice. Everybody whispers
Yeah.
in the show.
Exactly. So,
But I feel like that's the tone that they try and come across. Just like, that's what CW did with Supernatural. Like, they used to talk like humans, but now they all like talk out of like the bottom of their throats.
Exactly.
Like,
so, I feel like that's one aspect why. The other aspect is because if you put them in this movie, you give them huge villains, you give them all these incredible special effects, that if you bring it back to the TV show, it almost cheapens it a little bit.
yeah, they don't have the money.
They don't have the
Disney
money
does.
that they don't have the money that DC does to spend on these huge films, and so it could affect the viewership for that. Because imagine if you're watching Justice League for the first time, and you saw Flash, and you saw like Arrow, and you're like, oh man, this looks really cool, and then you like watch the shows on CW,
Right.
and it's not that it's worse, but like the special effects and things like
Right.
that they use is like, oh, okay.
I mean, that being said, let's say the Avengers get in a movie with Guardians of the Galaxy. Hawkeye is one of the Avengers.
Mhm.
You see Hawkeye fighting these ridiculous galactic monsters. If Hawkeye had his own show, you wouldn't expect to see those.
True.
And
Yes.
Flash already has, honestly, Flash has the perfect amount of visual effects
Oh yeah.
that it needs.
Yeah, the Flash looks great.
So even if
So-
they were in the movie, like
Yeah.
the Justice League movie, they could easily play off of Arrow being like, I'm just a guy. I am not ready for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like he actually does in the comics. That's the perfect crossover. If he goes back and be like, this is more my style.
Also, CW has an enormous fan base, and especially an enormous female fan base,
Mhm.
which I think is great. If they had connected to that, they would have brought over so many more, not just fans, but women fans into the DC, universe. And I hate using examples like this, but things like Twilight and things like Hunger Games have proven how much like a female fan base can storm a box office and just make it insane. And so it's not just comic book fans and action movie fans, it's all these people who would have never watched these movies
Yeah.
before. And I feel like that wasn't necessarily the smartest idea in the whole world to cut them out. Not necessarily them cut them out. They'll probably still come to see how Flash measures up against their Flash.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, I feel like it wasn't the best decision. Not that I don't love Ezra Miller.
Right.
I love that we're hiring like a Jewish queer to be Flash. It just makes me the happiest. But like, at the same time, I just feel like as far as like a business decision for like the whole universe, I don't know if it was the best. But I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, I'm literally playing devil's advocate. I would love to see them there. Those are some of the reasons that I've read on forums, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And we ranked all we want, but we also don't necessarily know the legal situation between DC and CW.
It can be really tricky.
Because
true.
CW could be like, yeah, these shows are doing really well. You're right, they would be great in movies. Let's talk money. And DC's
Yeah.
like, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
We're not backed by the Skynet conglomerate Disney. We don't can't just
Exactly.
throw
Yeah,
everything
right.
at
Exactly.
you.
So,
Exactly.
So that could be a huge factor that everybody seems to be overlooking, including us. I mean,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
happens.
Ezra Miller, though, perks of being a wallflower. I don't know enough about him to really make a judgment call.
Yeah, I mean, he was great in Perks of Being a Wallflower, but that's really the one thing I've seen him in personally.
I'm
So-
kind of bummed about it. They could have got. I don't know. I feel like they could have gotten somebody like huge for it.
Well, another thing too is this going to be Barry Allen Flash or Wally West Flash?
That's a good point.
Because Wally West in the
Yeah.
New 52 is African American, which is also another thing I was kind of hoping they would do. I was like, okay, if this is going to be, if we have Barry Allen in the show and Wally in the movies, maybe we could get, I don't know. But
That would have been interesting. But like, I don't know, Ezra Miller. I mean, I kept hearing like Chris Pine's name thrown around
That
as
would
the
be
Flash,
so good.
and I would have loved that.
He's
Like,
too
there was
old.
no
He's way
truth
too
to that.
old
I
now.
can see that. Yeah,
Well, if you did like,
I can see that.
nah.
But
Flash, maybe it's just his personality though. Maybe he just always
Yeah.
seems younger than everyone else because
Yeah.
he's the Flash. Maybe that's why.
yeah, I don't know. Ezra Miller. We'll have to wait and see.
We shall see.
We have to wait till 2017.
2018.
2018.
2017 for Justice League Part 1.
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
Come on, guys. He's in the
Trying to
Justice
keep
League.
up. Trying to keep up.
Come on.
It's weird having just I guess because of what Marvel did. It's weird having all of the solo movies after
Yeah.
the Justice League movie.
But if you're going the other way, like, because we didn't have all the solo movies, Hawkeye still hasn't had his movie, and Black Widow still hasn't had hers. So you got like the big names out of the way. Just like we're gonna have Wonder Woman. Yeah, we're gonna have Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman all before the Justice League movie.
Yes, but I feel like they were able to pull off because they
They
did
did sneak them into other movies.
exactly.
That's
and,
true.
And Hawkeye is also more Agent of Shield.
True.
And Black Widow is more Agent of Shield. Even though Hawkeye was what was the other movie
Thor.
that Hawkeye was in? He was in
Yeah.
Thor, right? Yeah. So he was in Thor, and
Didn't see him much.
Black Widow was in Iron Man 2, so they did bring them in prior to that. Are they going to bring them in the Wonder Woman movie? I really kind of hope not, because that would be weird.
Well, I feel like they're bringing everyone and their mom into Dawn of Justice, so maybe
Yeah.
that's their way to sneak.
Well,
them
they're
in.
bringing in Cyborg into Dawn of Justice.
Right.
So,
Cyborg and Wonder Woman are going to be in Dawn of
and
Justice.
Aquaman, I believe.
Oh yeah, and well, I think so.
I don't know.
Cool. So
I'll have to
they're
double
they're
check.
gonna have a Justice League party in Dawn of Justice,
Yeah.
basically.
Pretty much.
I will tell you,
I don't know what they're all doing in Metropolis, but
one
whatever.
movie I don't see on here, Martian Manhunter. DC. I want my Martian
Hey,
Manhunter.
maybe that's part 2.
Maybe. I would love if Justice League Part 1 literally stole the first 2 episodes of the animated Justice League series,
That'd be so
where they
cool.
have to free Martian Manhunter,
Ooh.
and then like the second is literally a 2-part episode.
And they cast Idris Elba as Martian Manhunter.
Stop. Stop.
No, that would actually
Just-
that'd be a really
just
good
stop.
call.
I really want it.
I would
really
love
want it.
that. Just
Yeah.
stop.
Don't go breaking my heart.
I want it. I want it. I
Do you-
want it.
Do you want it, John?
I do.
Okay.
Going away from what I want,
Talking about Aquaman.
we're gonna talk about the second casting choice. Not that I don't want Ray Fisher.
I was about to
Now
say,
that I said
what
that,
do you not
that's poor
want?
wording. Ray Fisher as Cyborg. He's relatively unknown. He's done a few stage things. Other than
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, he
that's
was
it.
in a short in 2008, and then I guess he was on stage as Muhammad Ali, and he got a
Yeah.
bunch of good reviews for that.
Which
So-
I mean, if you're Muhammad Ali on like Broadway, that shows that, like you're muscular, you got some athleticism.
You can pull off some cyborg.
Yeah, no, I feel like that'd be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're just like making up reasons for
No,
why.
no, like I honestly like if you think about like the physique and stuff, like that'll definitely help. If you're a
Mhm.
stage actor, you're kind of into like knowing how to like act big
Mhm.
because you're on a stage, and like we know that.
That one makes more sense.
In
I was
Cyborg,
gonna
is
say
very,
anyone can get buff for a movie, Dan.
but in Cyborg is very larger than life.
He is.
Yeah, true. Muhammad
So-
Ali and Cyborg have similar personality
And especially
traits.
when half his face is metal, you need somebody who can
Express,
emote
yeah.
beautifully.
Yeah.
So,
So we don't know a lot about him.
we're hoping he's great.
We can't really discuss him. Yay! Like he looks
He
like
looks
Cyborg.
hard.
He
He's
looks
got
like
that great
Cyborg.
jawline.
Yeah, he's got the jawline. He looks like he could play Cyborg.
Yeah.
So
He's got a good physique. He's muscular, athletic.
All right, Dan. All right.
I hope he's awesome.
Slow down, beard. So we'll find out more. Like I said, we'll get more of a taste in Batman vs Superman. So
Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice. We'll get a new taste then. So we can talk about it more then.
And hopefully it tastes good.
Ooh, will it be pre-metal? Will we see him human?
I don't know.
That would be awesome.
We'll find out.
Dun dun dun.
Dun-dun, dun-dun.
And then we'll have Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's kind of back and forth on that, and I know he can carry a movie. He definitely can, and I feel like he can pull off who Arthur Curry is as a person. And I mean, he definitely doesn't look like the Aryan child of the Aquaman series, but I think he definitely looks like wild and awesome King of the Seas to me, anyway.
I don't really care about him as Aquaman. Partially
Most
because
people don't care about
partially
Aquaman.
because I don't know who you could cast as Aquaman.
Yeah.
You know, like when you think about Aquaman with like his super blonde hair
Mm-hmm.
and just like his uniform, you're like, I don't know who I would cast as that.
Chris Evans.
No.
Well, no, because
Chris Evans?
when I think about Aquaman, I think about like Justice League Aquaman who like cuts off his hand to
Oh.
save his kid.
Exactly.
That's the Aquaman I think of.
Exactly.
So I feel like
That's
Jason
true.
Momoa could pull that off real
Yeah.
good.
Oh, I'm sure he can.
So-
I just, in the look, I'm like, I don't think anyone looks like Aquaman
No.
for
I
some
mean,
reason.
I think it's all gonna like rely on the writing,
Mm-hmm.
like because
Yeah.
Aquaman can be written so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You guys like, if it's well written, I feel like it'll be a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not well written, then well, I mean, obviously it's gonna be a really bad movie.
I
But
mean,
also I think with casting Jason Momoa, I think they're going for the more warlike version.
yeah,
Because he's led movies like Conan, and he
Yeah.
was called Drogo for goodness sake. Like,
yeah, true.
if they picked him, they're obviously going for the more like warlike, badass version. So
That's
maybe
true.
he'll be in like some epic sea battle. For
They're,
his
I mean,
throne or
they
something.
probably also cast him because they want to also get the mainstream to be like, no, Aquaman is really cool. Because,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
All
Comic-
the Game of Thrones people will come in droves.
because comic book fans know, especially after New 52 came out, that Aquaman is actually a really cool character.
Mhm.
Before, you'd have, like, all these jokes about how, like, Aquaman talks to fish, but, like, that kind of conception's still out there
Mhm.
for just, like, the mainstream, more
Right.
casual
Yeah.
fans, so I think that's why they're doing it, is to be like, no, he's actually a badass, like,
Mhm.
he's really cool.
He really is.
We'll
Yeah.
see how that
He
goes.
is.
We'll see how that goes. So, that being said, that's the DC slate.
I'm gonna go with Green Lantern.
Huge news. Oh yeah, we're going over Green Lantern. You're right. Excuse me. Thanks, Tessa.
Yep.
Yeah, Green Lantern, 2020, June 30th, Green Lantern. No one knows. No one knows which one it is. We all hope it's Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome, and everybody loves Jon Stewart.
Yes.
But we don't know. But the fact that they want to do another Green Lantern movie is a good sign.
Yes, it is.
Watch them do like Kyle Rayner.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's not bad either. But...
No, but like he's no one's first choice.
No.
I would not be surprised at Jon Stewart, not only because he's super popular, but because with this announcement, I mean, Justice League is already built like this, but like we said earlier, it seems like they're going after the only way you can really fight Marvel is through combating what they don't have,
Yes.
which is diversity.
Yes.
So Jon Stewart would be a great way to add another diverse character to the mix, another person of color. It'd be really awesome. Everybody loves him already.
He has a huge nostalgia factor, especially for kids who grew up in the 90s with the show.
Yeah.
Well, I guess early 2000s with
Our
the show.
generation loves him.
So
Green Lantern would be really cool. However, I will point out that originally this was rumored to be a Green Lantern and Flash film. Now it's just Green Lantern.
Yep.
We don't know if Flash is going to be part of it. We don't. They didn't say anything. Right now it's just titled Green Lantern.
it might depend on how the Flash movie does, how
Exactly.
the Justice League movies do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and hopefully they'll keep it in the same like universe style, like how in the Marvel movies you're not necessarily going to see them, or like in the Marvel universe, I must say, because in like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. they talk about people going to work for Stark. In like the Captain America movie, when they were like going to shoot everybody, they talked about like they mentioned Bruce Banner's name, they talked about Stephen Strange's name.
And then you have Captain America showing up in Thor 2.
Exactly. All of those different things, like that's fantastic, and I really hope they keep going that with like DC as well.
That would be pretty cool. I would like that.
I just want them to be bold. I think that's DC's main problem, is they're too like,
Yep.
Instead of just like, Marvel's just like, we'll just throw this out here, and if you don't like it, we'll just make another one that you'll like better.
Exactly. And
So,
you know, I think this is
get bold.
I think this is DC being bold, being
And I
like,
really hope so.
here's all our movies till 2020. This is 6 years out.
This is how like confident we are of what we're going to put out.
Yeah, so good for them. Let's hope that they can deliver on the products that they're going to come out with. Because that's, oh man, I would love to be in a universe where Marvel and DC films
Are both successful?
are like both successful and they better each other. So that would be really cool. And I think that's going to start happening when Justice League comes out in 2017. So speaking of Marvel, the day before DC, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in Captain America 3 in a prominent role. Originally, he was going to be a minor role, and it almost didn't happen because he wanted a little bit more money. And the screenwriter, like, I forget who it was.
Brothers, weren't it?
They're directing.
It was, I forget who it was. It was somebody prominent at Marvel Studios actually wanted the screenwriters to write him out of the script.
Oh, wow.
Because he was he was so offended by it.
No.
Because Marvel's known for not giving that much money to the
They're
actors.
very tight-fisted.
That is what they are known for, and somebody with more of a pull, like Robert Downey Jr., is like, I would like more money for this.
Yeah.
Because he knows he can get it. Like, let's be real.
Yeah. Because you can't, there's no other Tony Stark.
Exactly. So, so he is now in. He's in the script. He's a prominent role. The probable two storylines, it's not confirmed yet, but it looks like it's either going to be Civil War or Fallen Sun. Civil War is huge. That would be so huge because for those of you that don't know, actually, Jesse, you're in the middle of reading.
Well, I just finished it.
I was going to say, do you want to explain? You can probably do better than I can.
Civil War is based on the Superhuman Registration Act, which pretty much says, the government says all super people, bad, good, we do not care, have to register with the government and work for S.H.I.E.L.D. Otherwise, you are criminals. We will hunt you down and put you in prison until you register. So it's becomes a huge split because Iron Man sees that this is where the world is naturally going, that it's even if they fight against it now, it's eventually going to come back and take over because people don't feel safe. So he decides to go with it peacefully and try and find a way to keep things okay within the government. While Cap is like, this is completely and utterly unconstitutional. No, we have rights of privacy. And so he splits off on the other side. And then the heroes fall on one side or the other, and only a couple land in the middle or are able to get out of it.
Yeah.
Pretty much Doctor Strange is the only one who's completely out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And thus a civil war ensues, and what the Civil War did really well was show the expanse, how this affects everyone, superhuman and not, in the entire Marvel universe. It's a huge, huge deal, and it changes the whole rest of the Marvel universe. And at the end is where Steve Rogers dies.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Well, if you didn't know from like us talking about, all through Captain America and Bucky Barnes and all that other stuff, but he is shot and killed, and that's when Bucky takes over in the comics anyway. And which is what I'm starting to love, is that because at first they were like so hesitant about Cap because they didn't know how he would do because he's so cheesy and whatever.
Yep.
But then through Winter Soldier, it's a huge shakeup for the Marvel Universe. I'm hoping like every Captain America movie is like, you thought the universe was like this? Boom, done.
Yep.
I'm hoping for it, and I don't want it at the same time because I love Chris Evans and I don't want him to leave us. But
yeah. Well,
it has to happen.
That's already been speculated for long before this. I remember, there were rumors that they were going to do Civil War starting with the Avengers. Like, once the Avengers came out, everyone thought that, they're going to go to Civil War because of that whole scene in the movie where Steve saves all these people and he gets his mask pulled off and he's looking around and everybody sees his face. Like, everybody thought that this is where they're going. And we've seen fan-made posters for it. Yep. There's a really good one that we'll put up. It's got Chris Evans on one side, Robert Downey Jr. on one side, and it says, "Whose side are you on?"
Which was their tagline for the series.
Yes, and we've seen the rumblings with that, with starting with Iron Man, with Iron Man 2 actually, with the government trying to get Tony's technology. That follows with. Still more with Iron Man 3.
And then in Captain America 2, when they tear down S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're like, well, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Cap,
if Age of
Avengers,
Ultron,
Avengers was also another big one because you had the government questioning everybody. Cap 2 obviously had a huge shake-up. So it seems like this is where they're logically going.
And I feel like if you reach the end, after Avengers 2 and like, okay, we tried the superheroes and they did okay, and then but we still don't trust them, and then they dismantled S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, so we're going to try these robots with Ultron, and then they're of course going to fail. What is left but to just be like, okay, we're stuck with the superheroes, but at least we can try and control them. It's just a natural progression. And also Fallen Sun is the story of how Captain America dies. I don't think I ever said that.
You did not.
No. But yeah, that's what Fallen Sun is. So, I mean, I guess they could kind of...
The only way they could do Fallen Sun, because Cap is already in Avengers 3. Like, it would have to be like how it is in Civil War, and not to spoil anything, but they'd have to use that. Yeah, I literally just said not to spoil.
I thought you were about to spoil
Dan.
things.
Nope.
I'll just bleep it out.
Everyone knows that Steve Rogers eventually comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
But so like I guess
I'll
he
just
could
bleep me out.
die.
It's fine.
We could do Civil War and he could die, and then they bring him back for Avengers 3, and then maybe they might do what they're doing now with like the whole sucking out the super soldier serum. So then they could still have Steve Rogers, but they would obviously have to recast him as somebody else.
Just Batman Beyond Steve Rogers.
Exactly.
That could totally work.
Well, he could still be in the movies, so people would still have him, but they would also get Bucky or Falcon.
The other thing is, I like the Civil War storyline. I don't know if you can do it yet, because we've talked about this earlier. They don't have the heroes. Like, I mean, the reason why everyone's thinking Civil War is also because Marvel was in talks with Sony about getting Spider-Man to be in the movies, and Spider-Man is the central point of the Civil War storyline. He literally is the central point. You have Captain America, you've got Iron Man, and you have Spider-Man right in the middle. He's huge. Punisher is huge in that too. Like, there's so many people that are important in this that they just don't have yet. They haven't established.
Which would be cool if they did kind of sneak in Thomas Jane somewhere in there.
That would be awesome.
Be like, they don't have another Punisher movie. He just kind of shows up in the middle of Civil War.
I mean, what they've been doing really well, and I hope that this is what they do with Civil War, is make it more of an episodic arc.
That would be
like
better.
started in Captain America 3, move it through Avengers 2, through the next couple movies. Like the entire Avengers movie was built up through the primary movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like through Thor, the Incredible Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man. All of those movies had the underlying story arc of Avengers Assembles.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they need to do with Civil War. Build it up till either Avengers 3 or even maybe like an Avengers 4.
I feel like that would almost be better if they waited, because they're just the Civil War. It had such a build up. There
Mhm.
was such a progression of back and forth before they were finally like, screw it, we're at war.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and even the war portion was like drawn out over time. So
And like, could you imagine if, like, let's say they do the second Avengers movie, and it ends with the announcement of the Superhero Registration Act. That's why when, like, movies like Ant-Man, you would have those characters that, the one reason why he's a thief is because he doesn't want to go through the Registration Act. So he's doing all of these things outside of the law, making him a criminal, but he's still Ant-Man. You have all of this potential without actually having them go to war. You just have this inner frustration, this inner fighting, and then Avengers 4, Avengers 3, or whatever you want to do, that's when all hell breaks loose.
The other part of this is that the Fantastic Four play a huge part in it. Johnny Storm, Sue Storm,
Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Oh
they all
my
play a
God.
huge part. You can get rid of that. I just thought of something.
well, also like because Thor isn't around in the Civil War, because
Yeah.
Ragnarok has happened by the time
Yeah.
Civil War happens.
Thor 3?
Yeah, so is that going to happen too? Because, okay, there's also a character who kind of sets off the, like, serious, sorry, I'm getting upset, the serious, like, all-out war section when he dies, sets it off, but he doesn't exist in this universe yet. So, another interesting thing, are they going to introduce him through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or are they going to kill off somebody else who we've already grown to love and care about, like one of the main starting Avengers? Are they going to kill one of them off and do something like that? Because that would be insane.
Will Coulson die? Again?
I don't know. Well,
So-
I also heard rumors when this came out that if they couldn't get Spider-Man, Iron Patriot would be the role of Spider-Man. No one's really, like, thrilled about that, but it's like, I can see it.
I can see it.
Kinda.
The thing about Peter Parker, it's not, I think Don Cheadle could pull it off no matter what happens. It's just that Peter Parker, it's one of my favorite lines from Civil War, is Cap says to Iron Man, "Why are you torturing Peter this way? He wears his need for a father figure on his sleeve," which is what defines Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And Iron Patriot doesn't have that.
Yeah.
He has his, like, torn feelings to his country, like, which is why he would be, if they have to replace him, he would be a good one, because he does love Tony and care about Tony, but he also cares about, freedom and the American people. So that would make sense. I also think it's going to depend on how they play out, because Iron Patriot's going to be in Avengers 2.
Yep.
If he grows to care for Cap and see how Captain America is and all that,
Yep.
then it might be just an absolutely brilliant choice. That might be actually what they're doing, is be like, we're going to cover our asses in case we can't make this happen. So, I don't know.
Yep.
It's kind of back and forth. It all depends on how they play out.
Especially since Iron Patriot and Iron Man have already fought against each other.
True.
And Spider-Man and Iron Man do that in Civil War.
That is awesome.
So, we don't know where they're going to go. I really want to know. We don't know if this is literally just going to be encapsulated in one movie, or if it's going to be spanned over multiple movies. We'll find out. We still need to deal with Thanos. We still have to deal with Ultron first. Let's be real. We still have to get all these people in.
I'm still saying throw Thanos to the Guardians. Let Thanos' storyline live in the Guardians story.
No.
Because you can still bring the Avengers over into a Guardians movie, because they
Yeah.
said the Avengers and the Guardians are going to team up, but they didn't say in which side.
Maybe.
So they might pull the Avengers over into a
Well,
Guardians movie instead.
Guardians are in Avengers 3 now.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Drax is rumored to play a huge role in that.
Well,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, we don't know if it's gonna... Yeah, we don't know... You would think that they put a Thanos movie in Avengers 3.
Yeah.
Logically, you'd think that it would be Loki, then Ultron, then Thanos. They go in order of, like, how, like, villainous they are almost, or how hard they are. So, I don't know if you could really do a Guardians, like, encapsulate that in a Guardians movie.
Or what they might do, because there's no real solid end to the Civil War series, because the fallout still goes through into Secret Invasion,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
If they have, the whole Civil War starting with Cap 3 and then going through Avengers 3 with the whole big war, and then Thanos shows up, and they all just kind of have to be like, well, we don't have time to fight with each other because we're too busy, saving the world.
That's true.
That could be a good end to Civil War, where the government's like, you know what? We're going to take it back. We're not going to have the Superhero Registration Act anymore.
We're just knocking over everything on the table.
Was that you?
So
That was
passionate.
me this time.
Dan, stop.
But
You keep
thought,
knocking down Captain
Stop.
Marvel.
there's a reason. No,
Foreshadowing.
maybe that's what they're doing with part 1 and part 2.
That would be... Okay, that makes me feel better about part 1 and part 2.
yeah.
Civil War is part 1, ending with Thanos coming to the world. Part 2 is them versus Thanos.
Didn't I say that? I said the opposite of that.
I think...
I said the opposite. I
Yeah.
said Thanos, then Civil War.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like if they flipped it, that would make more... It would be more of
It
a
would-
final ending for
Exactly.
Civil War. Because I think you
Exactly.
need closure for that in a movie at least.
That
Like,
makes
in the
sense.
comics, you can get away with kind of
Yeah.
going.
That makes sense. I can totally see that. God, so much movie talk. So much to talk about.
So beautiful.
Ugh. So, that being said, we already talked about Spider-Man. Doctor Strange.
Still up in the air, though
No
it's
one
not
knows.
Joaquin anymore.
It's
I've never seen so many rumored people for a single
Such a
character
wide breadth
in
of
my
people.
life.
Everyone from Ewan McGregor.
It's not
to-
Oded Fair. It's not
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. We don't know if it's Ian McGregor.
Keanu
The rumor now
Reeves.
is Keanu Reeves, Benedict Cumberbatch, and
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. Thank you. And apparently Jared Leto is still in talks.
What?
I also
I
heard
didn't hear that.
I also heard Matthew McConaughey.
Oh god.
Matthew McConaughey has been listed
Oh my
as
god.
potentials.
Oh my
What?
God. I just want them to throw a big bag of money at Oded Fair. Just be like, please.
He'd be great.
They're not gonna
For those of
throw
you that
money
don't
at
know who that
anyone. I
is,
know.
if any of you have ever seen The Mummy or The Mummy Returns, the Brendan Fraser
He's-
version,
Oded Fair.
yeah, he's the Magi
Yeah.
in it, and he's awesome.
He's so good.
Love him.
So good.
He's even done voice acting for that part before.
Yes, I know.
Oh.
And I'm rumored to be in the running for Doctor Strange. Wish me luck. I got some stiff competition, but I got this. So
I feel like there's an actor out there that's blackmailing all of the other actors. It's like, so do you want to play Doctor Strange? Oh God, look at the time. I can't do it. And like that's why they keep going down and down until they meet this one guy. It's like, yes, I would love to.
I don't know
Well, I
who's
hope
gonna
he shows
be.
up fast. That's because this movie is supposed to come out like in what, 2 years?
Yeah.
2016.
Oh my goodness!
The same
yeah,
year,
hurry
same
up.
year as Cap 3. That's the rumor, and that's man, they gotta hurry up with that.
They really should throw that bag of money then. That's what I'm
They've
going
actually
for.
been filming with the actual actor. They just haven't released any footage.
Maybe it's like the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, where Doctor Strange is literally like 6 different people, like how they did it with that movie.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny Depp was rumored too. They might be pulling the same dude.
Oh yeah, Johnny Depp was. Oh man. I don't know. Point is, we don't know who Doctor Strange is gonna be. We'll let you know as soon as we find out.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, who knows? Tell us who you think should be it. If you think I'd make a great Doctor Strange, tell us, and I'll thank you.
Especially if somebody could like draw a picture of John as Doctor Strange.
Oh man, I'd love that.
That would be hilarious.
Just like take a picture of me and draw a goatee, and then like the white, like the white streaks in
Your
my hair.
ridiculous cape up in here.
Yeah, do that. Somebody do that, please. That'd be great. So, like I said, we'll let you know when that happens. Let's see. That's all for Marvel.
Mhm. That's all.
That's all.
That's
That's
all.
all. Sorry, guys.
It's whatever.
Sorry, that's all.
And there's a Hawkeye movie confirmed.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Hawkeye movie is confirmed.
Hawkeye
and
movie.
it's going to be based on Matt Fraction's run of Hawkeye, which is
Oh, that is confirmed. It's
Yes.
Matt Fraction.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
And a Black Widow movie is officially listed on IMDb.
So
It hasn't-
that's not confirmation.
No, but it's there. And
wait,
I'm
hang
gonna
on.
hold on to it.
Isn't in Matt Fraction's run? Isn't he deaf?
Eventually.
Okay,
It
cool.
doesn't start out.
Okay, cool.
But
Okay,
I think
cool.
that'd be interesting too.
I want Pizza Dog.
Pizza Dog.
I want Pizza Dog.
No, John.
It would be so great. Come on, he's in the comic. You gotta have Pizza Dog.
I think that would be beautiful.
That'd be funny.
But yeah, so if anybody hasn't read Matt Fraction's run of Hawkeye,
Please read it.
Really good.
beautiful.
The design style is
Fantastic.
unique.
Mhm.
Like the front cover of it actually like is him holding a bow, and then it like does the instructions of like how to shoot a bow and arrow.
Maybe they could sneak in Kate Bishop. Maybe they could like start her off in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
And like just throw her into Hawkeye as like his like trainee or whatever. Oh my god, I would love that.
That'd be really cool.
That'd be really smart.
Awesome.
All right, I'm down for
So
it.
anyway.
I'm down. So
Yay.
now that's all for Marvel news, and now on to something else we decided to do. We mentioned this last week. Do you want to talk about this a little bit, Dan?
Yeah, sure. Last week we had a question by one of my coworkers about who would win in a fight, whether it was Pyro or Human Torch. That spurred us off into thinking, hey, we should do this weekly, because there are so many superhero matchups that people would love to see. Whether it's Marvel versus Marvel, Marvel versus DC, DC versus DC. There are so many heroes that have similar backgrounds, similar powers, that we just want to see what you guys think would happen. So this week, we're going to be releasing every Saturday a superhero matchup. This week is Red Hood from DC versus Winter Soldier from Marvel. If you think about it, both of them used to be sidekicks. Both of them died. Both of them came back to life. Both of them have really like expertise training.
Mm-hmm.
Like Red Hood was trained by the League of Assassins and Batman. Winter Soldier was trained by like Red Skull
And Captain America.
and Captain America. So yeah, that's the explanation that I'm gonna give you guys.
And we had two answers.
Yep.
Well, three.
Three.
Yeah,
Three.
three answers.
Two on our page. One that was told by Dan or told you.
Yes.
So one from Dan.
Here, do you want to go first? Let me look something.
Yeah, sure. So I was going to lunch with a friend, and John Cherubino, and he was asked the question by myself, and he hands down put Red Hood. Simply put, League of Assassins beats out
KGB.
KGB. Basically, is what he said. Because I mean, really, it would. But the idea of like Red Hood has stealth over Bucky, in his opinion, as well as Red Hood does not leave as many loose ends as Bucky Barnes does, and that's like in. I challenged it a little bit, but
I say yes pre-Cap finding him because he was fighting against his programming and he made a lot of mistakes and a lot of mess because he was too busy trying to beat Bucky again. I feel like Bucky post like figuring his life out might be a little closer.
Yep, especially with his current run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can make. I think he made in Original Sin. They said he made a shot from 4,000 yards out.
He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And his metal arm.
Yeah,
I
he
feel
made
like,
a headshot 4,000 yards away.
Good.
Yep.
because he's Bucky Barnes.
I will say that especially because of Winter Soldier, I think it's Bucky.
Mhm.
I mean, you look at the fights in that movie.
It was beautiful.
I mean, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. You know, I mean, you just see him like pull out the knife and he's like stabbing, and then he can use his arm, and then like you remember the scene where Cap's like holding the knife, trying to make sure it doesn't go in, and then he uses his arm to like amplify the force, and it like goes in, and then it like scrapes along the side. He punches the shield.
Mm-hmm. That's also the other thing. Bucky has that metal arm.
Yeah, Bucky's got the
Just
metal
have it.
arm, so he has to watch out for that.
Mhm.
So
I feel like it would be really, really close.
Oh yeah.
But Bucky would win.
I feel
Or
like
they might just both kill each other at the same time, just bleed out together.
Because I mean, I feel like that is one thing that Red Hood has over Bucky.
Mhm.
I feel like Red Hood's drive is a lot stronger than Bucky's is.
Yeah, because he's just more like, I do the mission and I go home.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly.
But like, so like, if Bucky got hit more than like Red Hood did, Bucky would be down quicker, in my opinion. You shoot Red Hood, he probably gets even angrier, and he's like, "I'm still going to kill you," and it's like, "Oh, okay."
He does have kind of that loose cannon factor too. for
True.
him.
Which can play either for like it can be either a good thing or a
Pros
bad
and
thing,
cons.
depending on
How it goes.
yeah, and I mean it depends on also if this is like a distance thing, like if they start at distance and they get back, because I don't know how well Red Hood's shooting is. I assume it's really good, but
I mean, he has great shots. I wouldn't say
Winter Soldier.
4,000 yards
Yup.
away.
yup, I You know, I feel like if it's close combat, it's a toss-up. I feel like it's far away, then it's probably Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, then again, like, Bucky's really good at, if he's getting beat, he can find an escape, and he can get out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Does Red Hood have any EMPs?
I don't believe he carries them on him. I believe he might.
Okay, because if he did, that could change the fight.
Yeah, because his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Black Widow was able to hold her own a little bit against him, especially with that EMP.
I'm sure he would. I know he has gadgets on him. I'm not super well versed in the amount of gadgets that he has.
Yeah.
I'm sure it varies depending on what series it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Joshua Robinson said, such a tough call, but I'm giving it to Bucky. Both of these men are incredibly skilled, but Bucky has years on years on years
True.
of experience, not to mention that bionic armor of his.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good point, his years of experience of killing people.
Living forever.
Exactly.
I mean, again, that being said, although Bucky probably still has more years, Jason Todd, who is Red Hood, like, he, as a young kid, worked under Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is Batman we're talking about.
Exactly. That's a good point. Jetty Kite says, Winter Soldier, he's been trained to take people down. Red Hood may be a tough guy with a serious chip on his shoulder, but as far as I know, he doesn't have the training and experience a former brainwashed assassin does. But that's a good point with Batman. So...
Batman and League of Assassins.
Yeah.
Yes, and League of Assassins.
So
that's
not something you really want to mess with.
I would pay to see that fight.
It's like ninjas versus KGB.
Yeah.
I would pay to see that fight.
It's like super KGB.
I absolutely would pay to see that fight.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel DC, get on that.
Exactly. So that's Superhero Smackdown, I guess. Who are we giving it to? Who do you vote?
I vote... okay, let's set a stage first before we do this.
Okay.
Because if it's like super long distance, like Bucky has a hit out on Red Hood.
We'll say hand to hand, just for fairness.
All right, hand to hand, I would give it to Red Hood.
Okay.
I say Bucky.
Oh, sweet! I'm deciding vote.
I knew that was gonna happen too.
I say when they fight, everyone wins.
Oh, shut up! John.
Boo! No, close combat. I'm gonna give it to Bucky.
Okay.
Because we haven't necessarily seen Red Hood in fluid action. Like, we haven't seen him a whole lot on screen.
Well,
like he did with Winter Soldier and Bucky, though. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we can see his style. We can see how he flows. We don't have a good sense of how his style, of how Red Hood's style is necessarily.
There's Under the Red Hood. He has a movie.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a good point.
Between that and like Red Hood and the Outlaws,
and he leads a team in that one, which
true.
is scary.
I guess I'm just thinking of like the live action,
stuff.
because that stuff is so well done that it worked really well. But I don't know if Captain America can beat Bucky in close combat. I don't know. I'm still gonna go Bucky. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
There's our answer.
Time for the awesome box.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, while she's getting that out, stay tuned. We're going to be updating you every Saturday with a new one.
Yes.
We may bump that to Fridays or Thursdays just so we have more time to get responses.
Yeah.
But stay tuned for that. So we'll have a whole new SmackDown next week. If you guys have any suggestions, post it on this video. Let us know on our Facebook, and we'll definitely do it.
But it just doesn't have the same alliteration. Superhero Smackdown Saturday.
I hear you.
Superhero Fight Friday. Super Fight Friday.
All right, Tessa, so the awesome box. So the awesome box this week.
The awesome box this week. At Coliseum, we had the Woman of Wonder charity event, where the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, through a big silent auction, just benefit a local women's shelter here in Orlando. And there was a whole bunch of artists and face painting and all this stuff. And one of the artists there gave me this awesome Wonder Woman picture. So, ta-da! Shout out to Gray Hollow for being awesome.
Yep.
And I'm gonna post he has a Facebook page, and I'm gonna post that information below this video. So, check out his stuff.
That's awesome, guys.
Yes.
That is awesome.
And for people that are listening on our podcast,
it's a beautiful Wonder Woman picture and she's holding up the lasso, and she's looking really tough, and she's not super sexualized, at least not more than normal.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But we'll post a picture of it on our Facebook as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no problem.
listeners.
I just thought about this. Like, check out this, and they're just like, I can't see
Oh
it.
man,
What does it
sweet,
look like?
check out what? Yeah. All right.
Uh,
Yeah, sweet. Good, awesome, Bucks.
Mhm.
Way to go. Sweet. All right. So, I think that being said, are we all
I do believe so.
you're all good.
we're all good? All right. So, that has been our entire episode of Nerds in a Box. Thank you so much, guys, for everything, for being really awesome, for being supportive of us. I believe right now we're up to, according to my phone, 919 likes.
So we're getting really close to 1,000.
Yeah.
We're getting really close to 1,000. Like we said, when we hit 1,000,
Mhm.
we'll let you guys decide what we do.
Within reason.
Within reason.
And within budgetary restraints.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Theoretically.
we're going to do that. If you're watching this podcast for the first time, follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Pocket Casts. I think that's it for now.
Do you say
Yes.
YouTube, Facebook?
Oh, no. Well, I mean, if they're watching it through Facebook.
I mean, if they're not.
So, yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube. We also have a Facebook. Hit us up there. I believe we are also going to do some kind of Halloween thing.
Yes. For
In a few
Halloween, we will
weeks.
be doing a little dress
Surprise.
surprise stuff.
Yes.
It's a surprise, John.
Yes. It's a surprise.
You know what it is.
So, it's not Five Nights at Freddy's. We're not doing that.
Unless somebody asks us to do Five Nights at Freddy's, we will not do Five Nights at
If you
Freddy's.
keep asking, of course it's gonna happen.
I want to see him do Five Nights at Freddy's.
I'm not doing it.
Tessa is.
Oh, okay. Well, I can handle that.
Yeah.
What is? I don't have any
I can-
gaming system, so I can't do anything.
No, you have your iPad. You can get on the iPad. That's...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Oh, whoops.
I don't know if I can do this. This is
Anyway.
terrifying.
So, follow us there. Stay tuned for the next few weeks. We got fun stuff. So, yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for just being really awesome.
You guys are great.
Yep, you guys are great.
Mhm.
So, on that note, have a great night, everyone. I'm John Dwyer.
Dan Kiefer.
Tessa Barlotta.
We're Nerds in a Box. Have a great night, everyone. Take care.
Just realized, like, the SoundCloud people never see us wave.
Oh, we wave to you, SoundCloud people.